Some exchange betting companies run short-lived promotions, like months-long offers of low commission. At BetDAG, we wanted to change the way we did things, so we set our commission at 2% permanently. That's 2% on football, horse racing, golf, almost any sport. 2%. That's just one way that BetDAG is changing for the better. For the better, like you. BetDAG, the 2% commission exchange.
Over 18s only, please gamble responsibly.
Hello and welcome to a very special ROKER Report Extra edition. We've got Wimbledon on, AFC Wimbledon, on Saturday. So I thought I'd reach out to Ivor Heller, Commercial Director of AFC Wimbledon, been involved since 2002. He's very nicely agreed to join me on the podcast today. We've had a few issues, but you know what? He came through, he did well. But how are you doing, Ivor? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. Very good. I was up in the frozen north yesterday, so getting ready for to play you lot on Saturday. I got acclimatised.
It's a little bit cold up there now. It's Baltic, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I was actually in Scotland yesterday, so yeah, it was it was proper cold, and I'm like, oh, I know us southern namby-pambies, we don't particularly like it that cold, to be honest with you.
You said it, mate. You said it.
I mean it. No shame.
Now, I want to say it's your first visit on Saturday, but it's not to any football fan. It's not Wimbledon's first visit. No. It's AFC's technically, but let's forget that other team that existed. But then I've been doing my research, as I was saying before, and I think it's really, really going to be something massively interesting. I did a podcast at the beginning of the season with a lad from America. Now, he'd never been to AFC Wimbledon, but he was just besotted with the idea of the history, what happened, and everything that came with it. And it was brilliant, but it's weird. I'm going from him to someone who was directly involved. So in the best way you can, because I know it's a long story, but you've been involved with AFC Wimbledon since 2002.
Yep.
Now, you were part of the fans consortium that started or restarted the proper Wimbledon. How did you get involved? How much enjoyment does it have being where you are right now? And just fill me in. Just tell me what happened.
Well, I was a vice president at Wimbledon previously, and got involved, very, very seriously in the fight to stop franchising. We wanted to stop the Wimbledon being taken away and going to a place that shall not be mentioned. Unfortunately, after a very amazing fight, we lost that fight. And on May the 27th, 2002, I got a phone call to say, from someone that I knew very high up in the FA, to say, I know you're not going to believe this, but you've lost. You lost. They're going to let Wimbledon move to Milton Keynes. So unlike a lot of other people, a lot of people wanted to go up into London to demonstrate the next day, which I had every right to do. I phoned a guy called Mark Jones, and then I phoned Trevor Williams and said, look, you two, it's entirely up to you. You can go up to the FA and shout and scream tomorrow, but I'm telling you now, we've lost. You can't publicise that, but we have lost, and therefore, I think that we need to get together and do something. I think we need to start putting a new club together. And they're all like, well, yeah, why not? Good idea. That's exactly what we want to do. We had talked about it briefly beforehand. And then Chris Stewart, who was our first chairman and first CEO, he actually turned around and said that he had to go up there because he had to get the result officially from the FA. And I said, all right, well, if you walk through the door at 9:30 on the next morning, then we're off and running. And that was how we put the bare bones of it together. We then went and talked to fans that night at the Dog and Fox, up in, not the Dog and Fox, the Fox and Grapes. I always get those two muddled up, the Fox and Grapes. Mark went up there and did a load of rabble rousing, started telling people we were going to go again. And then we started work on it. And the Thursday night, there was the Independent Supporters Association, Wimbledon Independent Supporters Association, had an AGM. That was very fortunate. That meeting was one of the most highly charged meetings I've ever been to. We had 8 television crews there. Everybody was there. It was unbelievable. The most packed room you've ever been in. People literally in the rafters. About 200 people outside. It was unbelievable. It was incredible. And that was the night that basically there was a big argument, lots of infighting where people were going, no, we want to carry on fighting. We want to carry on fighting. And we're like, but we've lost. We've lost. Now we need to start again. And the real way to fight this, and the real way to fight this franchise disaster that's happened, is on the football field.
Did they ever give you a reason behind why you lost? Because from a Sunderland perspective, I'm looking from the outside in, but it was just crazy. I mean, I remember it. I remember when we played Wimbledon as they were playing in Milton Keynes like last season, and it was just so surreal. It made no sense, and it still doesn't to me. But you maybe know a little bit more about why the FA decided to do that.
Yeah, they put a document together, and there was no doubt about it. Blimey, Newcastle have beaten Man City. That won't please you, will it?
No.
Couldn't help commenting on that one. That's incredible. So the FA put a document together. They put a committee together that was a 3-man committee, and their decision was going to be binding. They put a report together, and as to why it happened. Really, what it was there was a legal loophole. The people behind the idea of franchising the football club had found that loophole, and they were not going to let it rest. They were not going to let it go. And the FA and the Football League all knew that there was this loophole, and they knew that they would be in for a very expensive and long court case if they tried to stop it. Basically, that's what happened. And then they put a load of mishmash reasons as to why it was allowed to happen. And there were such things in the report, and this is the greatest line that was ever put in any report, because it's fueled us forever. And the line went something like this: it's not in the wider interests of football for a Wimbledon town type football club to start up. You get that?
Why?
Why? Because
what do you mean by that?
Well, I think that somebody very cleverly thought, hold on a minute, if a bunch of lunatics decide to start a football club and make it successful, how's that going to make us look? Exactly the way they look now. Stupid.
Yeah.
End of story.
And it has been so successful. I mean, we're talking 2002, and I mean, I don't remember the beginning or anything like that happening ever in history. And I remember, 2002, I don't know what age I would have been, but I would have been in my late teens, I think.
All right, I'm going off you now, all right? We were getting on well, Graham, but now you've upset me.
I'm getting on.
Yeah, go on your bike.
And when you're looking at 2019, and I know it's been a difficult season, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
I know it's been tough, but you know what? You're above the MK Dons.
Team. Yeah, please, if you wouldn't mind, if we can just refer to them as the franchise or
the franchise.
Or
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm happy with referring to
Actually, I tell you what, Graham, maybe we can't say that. Actually, we call them MK. We call them MK. That's what we call them. Yeah.
How much pride does it give you, being as someone who, I know the answer to this question in a sense, but I want your own take on it. Being where you are now, despite the difficult season you've had, after that fight and after only what's that?
Let's call it 17 years. It's
17
and a half years. Yeah.
How do you sum up that sort of journey and where you're at now?
Well, it's been a bit of a miracle, really, I think, but it was a miracle that I always thought could happen. Once we got the magical senior status, which meant we could apply for a league, I knew we were on our way. We had a ground to play in. All right, we didn't have a league to play in, but a league would come. We got ourselves into a league, and once that happened, it was I knew then that market forces would force us up a certain way. We didn't know how big it was going to be. Nobody would have predicted that a club playing in the Combined Counties League, which is level 9. I don't know who you've got around there at level 9, but I would think there'd be a lot of clubs, that would be playing in the North East Counties League, which I think is what it's actually called. The average crowd in the league the year before we were in it was between 30 and 50. Most grounds passed a bucket around to get for people to put a few quid in to help fund the team, and most of those teams were funded via the bar and the social club. That's the way it was. Some of them, actually did get 100 people in a match and so on, and it was relatively sustainable. But that's what we were going into. We were going into that small league. We averaged 3,000 people per match at home that season. 3,000 went to see level 9 football. That's just incredible.
I remember that, actually.
Yeah,
I remember the crowds and stuff you had at the ground. I remember
that was
how many people sort of backed it, and I remember sort of the other team that drifted off. I remember theirs were dwindling. No one was interested, and it hammered home what you can achieve, really. And I feel like it started something, because FC United of Manchester, another thing that started up, and they're doing quite well themselves as well. And it's not
they're a different thing to us, though. They are a different thing to us, and I was very involved with them at the start, and did a lot of work with them when they first started up, and really enjoyed doing that. But they are a protest movement against what's happened at Manchester United. The overreaching commercialisation of Manchester United is incredible, and I think everybody knows that. And it's fairly obvious. So FC United were started up as a kind of a protest movement, whereas we're not what I call a protest movement or a social experiment. What I think we are a football club, first and foremost, to represent the people of Wimbledon, as all my life I've always been represented by a football club, and that's what we were, as opposed to a protest movement. What we had, which helped propel us, was righteous indignation. We had righteous indignation on our side, and that really helped us. With
Wimbledon and things like that as well, and where you're at, where you've come from, it's really quite massive. But one thing, when I was sort of looking through the years of what you've been involved in, and it's something that, I mean, it's totally different. Sunderland have not been anywhere near that kind of stuff. But again, we had, should we say, mismanagement from Ellis Short over the past few years. We've got a new chairman in Stuart Donald. And I think what's got everyone on side with Stuart Donald was he's really community-based. Now, on the research I did, one thing I've noticed throughout the things that you've done throughout sort of 2002 to 2019, you're very community-based.
Totally, 100%.
I feel it myself how important that is in my football club, but as a commercial director, someone who's been involved since 2002 up to now, tell me in your own words, how important do you think community is to a football, and do you think it's the most paramount thing out of everything? Because I do. I'm
100%. I mean, here's the thing. The football is territorial. There's no doubt about it. We're all proud of our football club. We scream our football club on. Sometimes it spills over. It goes the wrong way, but it's territorial. It's about where you're from and where your club is from, and the good that club can do the community at large. Because although it's very different now, but back in the day, people in Sunderland, people in Manchester, people in Leeds, people in Wimbledon, they lived for their football. They lived for it. Everything revolved around the club, and the build up to matches was much more than it is now. It wasn't all over television. There was newspapers, and you had to go out of your way to find out about it. And if you really wanted to find something out about it, you'd probably have to go to the pub. There was much more of a community feel to life in those days. Now, if you don't do something entertaining, people don't come unless you're going to them with something that they vitally have to do. Like, for instance, one of the things that we did at our place was all our staff got dementia trained. So we became dementia friends. And we spent the days training, and people learned a lot about dementia and so on. And as a consequence, I went to a dementia hub with a couple of our old players, going right back to the 70s. And we went along there, and you see, it was very much appreciated, not just by the people that were there that are suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's and the likes of, but their carers and the people around them, the nurses, everyone that was involved in that place turned around and said, that was magical. It was magical because you held everybody. Everybody learned something. Everybody felt something. And it's something very real that we do in the community like that. And we do stuff like that on a weekly basis, actually. It's something that is just incredible. It's incredible. And it's what a football club is there to do. But you see, what happens with a lot of the bigger clubs, it's a box ticking exercise. because they get the money for their foundation to be that, and you have to have it, and it becomes box ticking more than because people actually really want to do it. And that's something that I hope that we never become. I don't want us to become a box ticking exercise. I want us to do stuff in the community because we actually genuinely want to do it, not just because of how much money we get out of it, but lo and behold, it helps with money because good people see us doing stuff and go, I want to be involved. I want to do something. Yeah. What can I do? And that's it. That to me is the nub of the community thing. Instead of just putting on stuff and making people come to us, go to them, join in with what they're doing, do stuff with people. It's a wonderful way of doing things.
I think many people have felt with Sunderland the difference in community, just that little thing of changing our seats because we needed them changing. They were pink. And we got people in and changed them. And the players did it with the fans. And it was something so minimal. But after years of basically mismanagement and big money transfers and millionaire footballers not really caring about the football club and us falling through the divisions, it was kind of nice just to do something together.
Yep. No. That is for sure. I mean, we rely very heavily on volunteers at our place, and that's something that is going to be a challenge as we go into our new stadium and so on. Is how we keep the volunteers and everyone engaged, because it's going to be a different kind of thing. But 2 or 3 times a year we have work weekends at the club. Where people come along, and if it's just, some people will only be able to trim the grass, some people will paint the railing, some people will be much more skilled and will be able to work on other, probably much more important things. It's quite incredible. We get a Bristol Rovers fan come to it every year. He comes from Bristol.
Because he believes in the project, probably.
He believes in the project. That's exactly what it's all about, you see. And that, again, that gives people a sense of belief in your football club because you can actually be involved in it.
Yeah.
And then you also get volunteer tiredness and they burn out and so on and so on. It's like, oh, I just want to go and watch a football match. Well, okay, you've done your stint. Thank you very much. Hopefully there's more coming up behind that want to do stuff. That's the way it works.
There was something Stuart Donald said when first thing he said was, it's your football club. It's the fans' football club, and it is. I don't know if we could have done what we did if we were still in the Premiership or what we're doing at the moment because of the difference of it. But I mean, we were talking about what about atmosphere at clubs, and we're talking about Germany, and I go to the Bundesliga games quite a bit, and that is high level, but it's so fan and community based. They've got someone with banners and flags and stuff like that, and sometimes people scoff at stuff like that, but you know what, it's community. It's still community. It's just on a different level.
I mean, I'll be honest, there's something that I see that this is what I believe, and some might shout at me and say I'm wrong or whatever, but I'm going to talk about the biggest of the big, Manchester United Football Club.
Yeah,
right. I don't think they're a club anymore,
no.
And that's the point. The only way you can become a member there is to pay a lot of money. You become a member. That's not what football was ever about for me. It was never about rinsing the fans out for as much as you can. I mean, saying that, times have changed now. People aren't happy to have their football club unsuccessful. They have to have a degree of success, or people aren't happy and they're banging the door down. And that was happening, dare I say, at Sunderland, even when you're in the Premier League, wasn't it?
Yeah,
you're in the Premier League, and some people will never be happy. But the truth of it is, the word club, I think, says everything about football. And we get people come to us, and I'm going to include Sunderland in this, and in particular Sunderland, actually. We had a group of your fans, of Sunderland fans, in our hospitality lounge.
Yeah.
We had about 40 of them, I think there were. I mean, first of all, they were all massive. I've never seen such big football fans in my life as the boys that were in our thing. But them and Barnsley, I've got to say this, were the best fun that I've had in that lounge. We had an absolute scream with those boys in there, an absolute scream. They ripped it out of me because I'm 5'0". I slaughtered them because I got the mic.
and that's what football should be, isn't it? I mean, I know I'm preaching at the choir here, but fun and it's a vice for me. I like football. I'm, like I say, in my 30s. I see it as a vice. It's something I can go to, and it's something I feel part of. I'm Sunderland bit, and I feel very much part of it, and I haven't for a long time up until this season, which is really nice. And I think
that's lovely.
It's not the same. It's not in the same vein. We haven't had to build in the same way that you have, but dropping down those two divisions was almost like for Sunderland a bit of a rebuild, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, when I talk to the guys when they came down, I get the pleasure of talking to visiting directors, and I talk to the Sunderland guys and the people behind it, and it's the stuff they've had to go through. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's totally bizarre what was going on there, and I don't understand why a football club doesn't want to work itself to its natural level.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Work itself to its natural level. You should be able to sustain yourself at your natural level, and if that's Championship and Premier League from time to time, and Premier League and then Championship, so be it. But, the Holy Grail of just getting into the Premiership or you're nothing is, to me, it's fool's gold. It's fool's gold. That's what I think, because, it could cost you, I mean, the money in the Championship now, it could cost you gazillions to try and have a crack at getting back in the Premier League. It could cost you a couple of $100 million to get in there, and if it don't come off, then what? Then where are you?
And you just look up the road at like Middlesbrough. I mean, 15 million on a striker from the Championship these days with Summer Belonga last season. They didn't go up.
Yeah. Like, 15 million.
And that's standard money in the Championship now. It's not. I mean, if you look at Chris Wood, who went to Burnley a couple of years ago, he was 15 million from Leeds. I think he'd only played now and again with West Brom in the Premier League, and the money's insane, and it does take things away. And the majority of my life as a Sunderland fan, I've been very lucky to say that we have played top tier football. But can I be honest with you? Like, when it comes to, and I think many fans would echo this, I don't think it's just me. I want my club to be successful, which technically is the Premiership. Yes, fair enough.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah.
But at the same time, have I had any less? I've had more fun this season. And yes, that's because we've won more games. Yep, that's fair enough. Totally. I've had more fun this season actually going and involving myself in the games. And I've been at Walsall, Accrington, Shrewsbury. Sorry, I always pronounce that wrong. But I've met real fans of clubs. They support their club because they have no choice. That's where they're from, and that's who they support. Sometimes going to Anfield and Old Trafford, and it's nice. And the best day of my life was at Old Trafford because we got to Wembley because of that. But was the actual day, apart from the match, that good? No, because I didn't speak to any Man United fans. Everyone was selling scarves, and it was like a tourist day out at points. There's people there that on the other side that didn't care.
I knew that Premier League football was screwed when I turned the telly on one day. It was Chelsea were playing Man United, and it was pretty much a winner takes all match in the Premier League. It was not that many years ago. Maybe 3-4 years ago, something like that. Maybe longer. The old memory plays tricks every now and again. But I knew it was screwed when the first thing they did, they zoomed in on half a dozen people at the front of the Stretford end at Man United, which used to be the loudest, most boisterous place in football. It was, whether we like it or not, it was amazing, the Stretford end, right? And there it was. There they were, these guys, 6 of them, in their half and half scarves. Chelsea, they had blue and white on in the Stretford end.
No.
Had half and half scarves. And I looked at that and I thought, oh my God, they're quite clearly supporting Man United, but they've got something that says Chelsea on there. What is going on? What is going on?
It's a souvenir, isn't it? Because it's the first or the second time they've been. And no, I mean, for me, it can sometimes sound very cheesy for people to do the whole being against that modern football thing. But I think because I first went to my first match in '93, so the Premier League was a thing by the time I actually went to the game. Sure, but at the same time, it's like gradually it's become, as you mentioned, Manchester United before, like a cash cow. And, in a sense, United's away support is so many people want to go see Manchester United for material reasons that the ones that can actually get the tickets are the genuine diehards that love Manchester United. Yeah. And that's why they're so loud. It's their life. Do you know what I mean? But the home games, you see iPads, you see phones. And I mean, I know the modern world has moved forward with stuff like that. Yeah, but I mean, it's just, that's what I've loved about League One. Like, I mean, we equalised in the last minute against Walsall, and about 30 of our fans ran on the pitch because we're down to 10 men. We're 2-0 down. We'll pull 2 goals back, scored in the last minute. And I haven't seen like that with Sunderland for ages. Yeah. It's fantastic. For ages. And it's brilliant. And it just feels that we've got our club back a little bit. The community element's really helped. Good. But also, I think people at this level, you meet real fans, you have a good day out, you have a good drink, and winning games is helping. But at the same time, even the games we've lost, which have not been many, but the games we've lost, I haven't felt as depressed as I have maybe when I've been in the Premiership going 5-6 games and just surviving.
Yeah.
It's just surviving so we can have the money. Like it's, I don't know. But one question I wanted to ask you, actually, obviously the way you're involved in football at the moment is very different to the way, say, I am. And you met Stuart Donald and I'm guessing Charlie Methven. What were your thoughts on them when you met them? Like, because
I have nothing but admiration as far as I'm concerned, to be honest with you, because I think taking on something like Sunderland when it's had such a rough ride, and it really has had a huge. Everyone knows that it could have been viewed as taking on a poison chalice, but the good news is the fans have stayed behind the club, to say the least. I mean, it's utterly insane. What was that crowd you had on Boxing Day?
46,000.
How many was it? 46,000 in League One. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's just magnificent, and the fact of the matter is that I say, unfortunately, I think you're going to go up this year, and I like the thought of us surviving and you staying where you are, so we get to do it all again next year. But never mind, beggars can't be choosers. No, I do wish you luck in going up. I really do. I think those guys have come on and done a fantastic job at steadying the ship. I think that the proof will be in the pudding in a year or two's time to see whether it's worked or not, and how they stand it when they go into what they in my mind. I've just looked at the league table. I think you're going up this year. I'll be very surprised if you don't go up this year. I think the games are falling right for you. The teams above you are starting to show signs of a little bit of struggle, and I think that that you're very likely to go up. I'll be very surprised if you don't go up this year. Very surprised. The proof of the pudding will be a little bit like Bolton got themselves up, didn't they? Bolton got up, and then they've struggled so badly. They've struggled very badly, and I think that it wouldn't be the case with Sunderland. I think you'll be okay, but that will be the proof of the pudding as to whether it's worked and whether their business plans are right, and so on to get it right, because it's tempting to spend millions again in the Championship.
Oh, I mean, you've got fans at the moment who want us to splash cash on Kiefer Moore, which is 4 million apparently Barnsley want for him. And I think you're learning from the lessons of Sunderland of the past. It's not financially viable to spend 4 million on a League One striker. That's just my opinion.
Maybe we might have one or two you could have for 4 million. we'll give you 2 for that. I'll guarantee you. No, 4 million for Kiefer Moore, really? I mean, he's a decent player, but 4 million.
4 million? No, not when you can get Will Grigg for about 1.
But again, you're talking in millions there. I think our rounded up spend this season has been 58 grand or something. I mean, it's insane. We played West Ham the other night, and they bought on a £40 million player against us.
And I totally forgot to mention that. Actually, I'm thinking about. I was mentioned before. It's been a tough season for Wimbledon. It has been, and I can understand. At the same time, very proud of where you've got to, but once you get there, you want to sustain it. And I know it's been tough, but from a Sunderland perspective, seeing you beat West Ham was like, oh, for fuck's sake, because it was like you might be back on form. But was that? Would you say since you've been involved since 2002, that's been sort of your best day?
No, very, very far from it. In fact, I would say no. Our best days were. I think that when we played Sutton, our very first match, that's right up there because it was just incredible. We played a football match in front of just under 5,000 people, a pre-season friendly between two teams that we didn't even know the names of our players. We didn't have our own kit. We lost 4-0 and there was a pitch invasion in celebration. Well, how about that? That takes some beating a day like that.
Yeah,
but no, when we got back in the Football League, it took us 9 years. Luton up at the City of Manchester Stadium, that was really special. That was something that, because people, when we started it, turned around and said, our fans can't run a football club. You're never going to get anywhere. You might make it to the conference for a season or two, but then you've had it. And not only did we make it to the conference, we made it out of the conference in 9 years. That's absurd. And and then again, we had our day at Wembley when we played Plymouth at Wembley in front of well over 50,000 fans, and we had a terrific day out that day. So I would say that the West Ham game was definitely up there. 100% it's up there. But if you're asking me if it's the best day, you'll have to go something to beat that day at City of Manchester Stadium, and of course 1988 when we won the FA Cup.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's quite a good day out.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been at Wembley once in my lifetime, sadly, because the other times I've been stuck. But there's nothing like seeing your team at Wembley and seeing them win it. Well, yeah. Maybe hopefully I'll get there in the checker trade this year. But
well, I'll tell you what, that would be some occasion if you do.
Because I think we'll pack it out.
Yeah, well, not only will you pack it out, because I think I saw that Portsmouth are still in it. I mean, if it's Sunderland Portsmouth in the checker trade, it'd be sold out 3 times over. It'd be fantastic. Great occasion that'll be. I'll probably go to that myself. It'd be brilliant. Be right knees up.
That'll be superb. Yeah, yes. I mean, I loved Wembley the last time. It was brilliant. So I would take it in any trophy, any competition. If it's Wembley, I'm going to go.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, and why not? Indeed, and I mean, I don't know. You've got games in hand as well, haven't you? Up there, quite,
Yeah.
I'll be very surprised if you don't go up. I mean, dear old Portsmouth are faltering. I think Barnsley are the best team I've seen this year. I must be honest.
They lost again tonight.
No, they drew in the end.
God, did they draw?
Yeah, they did. They got it back. Yeah, sorry to give you some bad news there, but
Newcastle winning, Barnsley getting a draw. Full of the bad news.
No. To be honest with you, Barnsley getting a draw is a result because, like I said, they're the best team I've seen this season.
I'd agree with you on that.
Yeah, when we played you this season, I mean, how on earth you beat us? That was a bloody miracle. That was a referee without any shadow of a doubt. Most blatant handball I've ever seen in my life on the line. Your guys will remember this.
I do.
Brian Oviedo leant into the ball. Handball, less than 10 yards from the referee. He's not only not given us the pen, he's played on. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was the worst decision I've ever seen.
The overriding emotion of the Wimbledon game, apart from Cats actually scoring not 1 but 2, was how much I think it was the first time this season where I looked at like the physicality of the team we were playing, and I felt a little bit worried about how weak we were because I thought you battered us for the first 45 minutes, and I don't think anyone would disagree with me on that. No, we did. We absolutely took it to you, and I still can't believe how we lost that game, and I do think that I look at the referee, and we've had so many bad decisions like that I hate talking about referees that they've affected how it's supposed to even itself out. Well, we haven't had a penalty all season, and one incident that was a blatant penalty. We've had several others, and I'm just like, wow, are we going to get that turn of luck? And if we do, I think we'll get out of it. We've had
on Saturday.
we've had a funny run of luck with referees this season. I don't know whether you've seen the Bradford goal, not goal.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
that was definitely in.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. But we haven't got technology at this level, have we? That's one thing
that's the beauty of being a Sunderland fan at the moment. Technically, I suppose, because it was definitely in that. But one thing I kind of want to touch on real quick. I've started doing a piece for the site on 3 key players to watch, and I actually quite like doing it because we've dropped so fast. It's quite nice to do the research on the teams, and I'm learning more week on week with League One. But like at the beginning, it was tough,
Yeah.
What I find brilliant is your best players, or the players that I've pinpointed, have all come from non-league.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mitch Pennock, Pigott.
Yeah.
But I wanted to put this question to you because I always put this to our fan, and you are a fan. Yes, you may be
absolutely
directed, but massively a fan of Wimbledon. Who
100%.
would be your 3 key players for us to look out for on Saturday?
Right, I'm gonna give you. I think you've got to watch out for Pinnock. I think you've got to watch out for Kwesi Appiah. He seems to be on fire right now, but he's the one that you've never heard of because he's only played 4 times for us, and he made his full debut against West Ham. And he is the fastest footballer that I've got a feeling he's the fastest I've ever seen. We've had some fast boys at our place over the years, but Dylan Connolly, we got him from Dundalk, that footballing hotbed over there. We got him from Dundalk, and I've got to tell you now, he's quick. He's proper quick, and your guys would have scouted and seen that. Good luck with anyone trying to hold on to him because he's so quick, and he actually takes the ball with him, and he's got good end product. How we got him for what we got him for, I will never know. But wow. So yeah, if you ask me for one to watch for, he's it. But the other two are pretty decent too, right now. We're doing
close. Well. I went for Wagstaff.
Yeah,
I went for Piggott, and I went for Pennick, and I went for Piggott as well.
Yeah,
which is quite difficult to say when you see the names in line, Piggott and Pennick.
Yeah.
So before I do let you go, I'm going to ask for a prediction, and I'll give you mine afterwards. But what's your thoughts for Saturday?
Oh, do you know what? It really depends which of our teams turn up.
Yeah.
If our team against West Ham turn up, and we play like that again, which we know we're capable of, then I think it'll be a really good game. We'll probably walk out 3-2 winners. Right? That's where I'm. If we play like that again, yeah, we've got every chance against anybody, against any team. If the team that turned up against Fleetwood turns up, we'll lose 5-0. At least. So let's go somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I'm sure you would take that. But yeah, I think we're going to be fired up after the West Ham game. I think so many people have turned around and said, look, we watched that game. How on earth are you bottom of League One? It's just preposterous. Yeah. Well, if we ever get a bit of luck, if we ever get a decent decision off a referee, we're going to turn someone over soon. So we might as well start with you lot, because that's a nice big scalp to take. And it's typical Wimbledon if we were to be the party poopers for you guys.
Oh, and it's typical Sunderland to get beat off the team currently bottom of the league. So, but I think I'm going to see 2-1. We haven't scored more than one goal in about 6 or 7 games.
Could keep that going.
We can't keep the clean sheet.
Good.
But I'm saying 2-1, and we've just lost Josh Madger, and I suppose it really does depend who we bring in. We brought Grant Ledbetter in today.
Good player.
I would imagine by the time that this comes out, Lewis Morgan will be signed, from what I know, and hopefully Will Gregan, another striker as well. But you never know.
Jeepers creeps, that's a lot of strikers coming in. Well, listen, if you sign that lot, we might have a tougher day than we thought. But meanwhile, they've got to get in and train and bed down a little bit, haven't they? I suppose so. They shouldn't all start. I'll be surprised. Listen, we'll come up. We'll give you a good game on Saturday. That's what I think. And I think it'll be the game down at our place was wonderful. It's just the result was wrong. And I don't think there are many Sunderland fans that were there that day would actually agree with that. It may be a draw, but that penalty in a straight red for Oviedo, and it's a different result in my opinion. But it happened. Now it'll be a real justice if we walked away with 3 points on Saturday, and if we don't, then we'll put up a good show. Whatever happens, we're coming up in numbers. We've got a lot of our fans coming up. I can tell you that. There'll be some real numbers. Well, for us, it'll be big numbers. For Sunderland, you'll be laughing at it, I suppose. But we're going to come up and have a right good go. And with a bit of luck, we'll get a result for us.
It's been really, really nice having you on. One of the lads were just messaging me there and asking how it was going, and I've got to be honest, it's been an absolute joy listening to you, mate, because it's I'm really pleased you've done it, and I think it's really good to hear the story of what's happened, and it's really great to see you where you are, because I remember when what happened. I remember that, and I think anyone who likes football at any level, a season ticket holder or someone who takes a good passing interest, would be delighted to see Wimbledon where Wimbledon are.
Well, thank you for that, and we do feel that as we go around the country. We feel that all over the place. Football fans know football fans, don't they?
Yes.
We understand. We're the same breed, and football hurts. If you can't have those shitty, horrible times, then you're never going to understand those brilliant highs. And I feel sorry for Man United fans. I feel sorry for Arsenal fans. You look at where they are and you hear their fans moaning and bitching and they're upset with this, that and the other. They should try being all of us sometime, and then they'll know what being a football fan's really all about.
Fancy only winning 1 or 2 trophies every 5 years. Imagine that life. Jeez. But I genuinely mean it, and it sounds like an arse-kissing comment, but I think anyone who's a football fan would understand 100% if you move Sunderland to like Leeds, what it would feel like. I think everyone from the day you started as AFC Wimbledon was fully behind you, and I think everyone's super pleased. And I think Sunderland, outside of that, to be where you are, yes, we want to beat you on Saturday. Let's not kid ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
At the same time, I think it's been brilliant. Now, I really wanted to get someone who was involved in that on the podcast, and I'm really delighted you did it, mate. I'm really thankful.
I've been very, very pleased to talk to you. And if there are any of those Sunderland fans that are in our hospitality, when we played you at our place. If any of them feel like coming down again to have another pop at me, they're more than welcome because I'm ready for them. All
right. Sharpening your tongue. Yes, good.
yeah, absolutely. Okay,
well, thanks very much, my friend. Enjoy Saturday.
Pleasure. Yeah, and you.
Honestly.
Cheers, mate. Good night.
Thanks, mate.
Bye.
Good night. I'll be honest with you. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Really, really liked him. I know a lot of people are probably listening going, oh, he's just kissing his arse. And maybe you might think that. I don't mind. I don't know how many of you were actively watching football in 2002. I'm guessing there's quite a few. If there's anyone a little bit younger than me who may have missed that, it was shocking when it happened. And I don't think anybody who likes football at any level or cares about their team could understand what it would be like to have happen, what happened to Wimbledon, or what happened to Wimbledon. And I think everyone fully has empathy with AFC Wimbledon for what happened. And I'm for one, I'm delighted to see that, they've achieved what they've achieved. I want to win on Saturday, of course I do. That niceness goes out the window and that empathy goes out the window on Saturday. But I think it's brilliant to show what you can achieve. And as I've said many times on this podcast, I think when it comes to community, you feel part of something, you're proud of where you're from, and nothing ever would take away Sunderland. And if something did take away Sunderland in the way that had happened to Wimbledon, I would hope to think that we would have the same mindset as a club, the way that AFC Wimbledon and Ivor had. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope I didn't talk too much. Enjoy the match on Saturday. I'm sadly not making it. I get a miss Grant Ledbetter's return, which I would have been really excited for. I've always really liked Grant Ledbetter as a player and as a lad because he's one of us. And hopefully we can win. And I'm confident we will, but I think it's going to be a tougher game than it might have been maybe a few weeks ago with their win against West Ham. But thanks for checking in as always. Enjoy your week. Let's hope the transfer window goes well. Onwards and upwards. I've been Graham. This has been the ROKER Report Extra podcast with Ivor Heller.
Some exchange betting companies run short-lived promotions, like months-long offers of low commission. At BetDAG, we wanted to change the way we did things, so we set our commission at 2% permanently. That's 2% on football, horse racing, golf, almost any sport. 2%. That's just one way that BetDAG is changing for the better. For the better, like you. BetDAG, the 2% commission exchange.
Over 18s only. Please gamble responsibly.